Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys all the books on my bookshelves that are blue. Whether I've read them or not, I have put them in the piles of the ones I've read and the ones I've not for you guys, so I can recommend the ones I've read. So these are all of the books on my shelf that is blue, and to be honest there's a lot. Blue is like my favourite colour, so I think I'm guided more towards blue books, to be honest, because I have a lot of them. So let's get straight into this video. If you do like this video, please do put the thumbs up button because it really helps out, and please do subscribe. We are two away from 500, which is mental, so thank you everyone for supporting. Yeah, please do click the subscribe button and click the notification bell to be notified every time I do upload. I do try and upload shorts at least twice a week, and I am going to start trying to post at least once a week to get started on this video, and I will show you all the blue books that I own, which is quite a lot, to be honest. Let's start with a pile of books that I have already read. So this is the pile of books that I have read that are blue, so let's get started. The first one on the pile is one of my favourites, and that is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first one in the Dreamland Billionaire series. There are 3 in the series, currently only 2 out, which is The Fine Print, which is about Rowan and Zara and their relationship, and you learn about how they become part of the company, and he becomes a creative director of his grandfather's, who's passed away, dream, like his dreamland, which basically is kind of like a Disney World, and he becomes creative director and has to find a way of moving the place along, the dreamland along, and making it a better place. He hires a new person in the creative place, which is Zara, because of her drunken proposal that she sends in, and well, the story goes on from there. The second one is about his older brother Declan and Iris. But yeah, these books are amazing. These are some of my favourite books. I gave this 4.75 stars out of 5. I love it so much, and I cannot wait for Cal's, because I think Cal is going to be my favourite one, because in the second one you learn Cal is Iris's best friend, and you do actually learn a bit about him, and he's quite funny, to be honest. So I'm very looking forward to that book. That book, fingers crossed, is going to be out either next year, like early next year, fingers crossed. Well, I just love this series so much, and I also love the covers. The covers are beautiful. I got this from Waterstones, so yeah, I love it so much, and I would highly recommend. The next book I've got is Archer's Voice by Mia Shernin. This book is about Archer, who loses his voice, which you learn later in the book how he lost his voice. He doesn't have a voice box, so he can hear but doesn't speak, so he has to sign language, but he's been locked in his house. Bree comes along after having some rough stuff happen to her, and she goes to a small little town where Archer is, and the first person she meets is Archer, and she's so intrigued, and she always goes past his house and then introduces herself and realises he cannot speak, and her father was deaf, so she signs to him, and that's how they communicate. And it's a brilliant story. It's very, very sad, but it does make a lot of people cry. I don't think I cried in this, but the story in the background is so sad, but it is an amazing book, and it's such a like warming book because of the way like they communicate and get along, and it's such a beautiful book. I rated this, I think, 4.75 stars, no, 4.5 stars out of 5. I didn't give it the full 5 stars, but it was a fantastic read. I would recommend. I know this is a lot of people's 5-star reads and favourite reads of this year. Like, we're having a little heat wave in the UK, but like it's been cold all day, and then for some reason my room's just red hot, and I don't get why. So let's carry on. The next book is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is very popular on TikTok. People are still reading it, and it's still extremely popular on there. And this book is a STEM. Olive is a 3rd year PhD student in STEM, which is science, and she gets in a fake relationship with her teacher. Well, not her teacher. He's a teacher at the university called Adam, and it's all about that. And it's also got stuff about women in STEM and how men don't think women should be in STEM in it, and all that jazz. And it's a really good book, and it's fake dating, so who doesn't like a good fake dating book? I think I rated this, I think, about 4.5 stars out of 5. I think I did read it back in Feb when I read it back in March when I had COVID, so I don't know if anyone else is like me, but if I read a book kind of a few weeks after I forget about the main plot. Like, I'll still love it, but I'll forget the main plot. Even with my favourite books. I think it's a dyslexic thing. Because some people aren't like that, but I'm like that, and I think it's something to do with my dyslexia. But yeah, this book is amazing, and apparently it's supposed to be a Star Wars fanfic, and this is supposed to be Kylo Ren, which I read it going into it like that, and I was like, that's great, I love it. The next book is The House on the Culloden Sea by T.J. Clunin. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. This is the US cover, because I got it when Waterstones had brought in the US one, but there is a UK one now. I personally prefer this one. It's a lot more vibrant and the cover's a lot nicer. Just personal opinion. It is a bigger one than the UK one. But this is a fantasy book, and from what I remember, I've read this like months ago. I think I read it last year. But this book is about, there's like this care system where kids that are special go into care and they get looked after, and what's his name? Lucius Baker is one of the social workers, and he goes to this house which is the house on the Culloden Sea, to visit the most dangerous care home for kids in the country. And he falls in love with each of the characters, and you learn so much about them. They are magical creatures, like not magical creatures, but like they're children who have magical powers or are a bit different from normal people, and they basically get shoved into a care home, and it's all about that. And it's quite I didn't cry at it, but the storyline's quite upsetting. But I fell in love with this book. It was a fantastic book, and it is fantasy, but it's such a easy fantasy. Like, there's no world building or anything like that, so it is a really good fantasy book. I would recommend this. I think I rated about 4 stars. But yeah, this book was amazing, and I fell in love with it. And it was quite funny how it starts, because it starts really dreary, and then when he goes to the house, like everything's like bright and there's sun and all that. It's a good book. I would highly recommend. I think most of these books I would recommend, because nearly all of the books I've read that are my blue books, I love them all. The next book that I got that's blue is The Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This book I rated 4.75 stars out of 5. This is about Alex, who he's cursed by his past. You'll learn about it, but his past is really, really rough, and basically he's grown up with his uncle due to that fact, and he lives by himself and has like made friends with Josh, who is Ava's brother. And basically Josh is going away for a year, and he moves in next door to Ava. And Ava is like a free spirit, but she has nightmares every night from the torture that's happened in her childhood, and them two kind of get along, start chatting, and things develop. And it's basically brother's best friend. It's a brilliant book. I love this book, and I cannot wait for the next 2. I'm taking them on holiday with me. I'm very excited, and I've pre-ordered the 4th one in the series, which is coming out in 28th of July. I would highly recommend this. You all need to read it. It is such a brilliant book. Ava Huang has a way of making you addicted to the book. Like, I could not put this down. It was fantastic. The next book is Coho Herself. This is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I rate this 5 stars out of 5 stars. This is one of my all-time favourite Coho books. Like, this is my favourite. Out of all the ones I've read, this is my favourite one. And it is about Miles and Tate, which is my favourite Coho couple. I do still have a few of her other ones on my shelves, if you can see, to read. But yeah, these 2 are my favourite. And this is about Tate, who goes to live with her brother while she's in nursing school, and her brother's a pilot. Her brother's best friend is another brother's best friend trope. Is literally like Miles, her brother's best friend, is literally against the door, like drunk, and she has to try and get into his apartment, and her brother's on the phone freaking out, realizes who it is. It's his best mate, and is like, just bring him in. And basically that's where the relationships are. It is a really sad book. It is an emotional roller coaster. I cried. This is one of the first books I ever cried at. I never cry at books until recently, and I think this is the book that's the reason. In the cover, when you know the story, you know why the cover looks like this, and it's so sad, but it's such a good book because you have dual point of view, and Tate's is always in the present and Miles is always 6 years ago, because that's how you learn about how he's the way he is now, and then at the end it goes into present, and they become friends with benefits as well, Miles and Tate. So this is the only one of the spiciest Colin Hoover books I've read. Not a lot of her books are like, they always have a bit, but this is very much so, and it is fantastic and I love it so much. Everyone needs to read it. I made my friend buy it the other day because she needs to read this. This is phenomenal. Every time anyone's on about Coho, I'm like, Ugly Love, Tate and Miles, always number one, always. Then the next book I've got is another Colin Hoover book, and that is Reminders of Him, the most recent one. This is another American copy. I got this one from Waterstones because I prefer this one because it's shiny. You know, covers are a big thing when you're a designer, graphic designer like myself at uni. But yeah, I love this book so much. This is about, I can't remember how to say her name, Kenya, who goes by Nicole in this for a bit. She was been in prison for the last 5 years because of what happened in her past with Scotty, and she had a kid whilst in prison, but the kid has been given to Scotty's parents, and it's all about her coming out of prison, trying to get a job, get money, trying to get herself back up and running, and find out if she can see her daughter for the very first time, because she never saw her. After 5 years she's going to see her daughter, and it's all about that. She meets Ledger, who's Scotty's best friend, and it's all about their relationship, and it's a fantastic book. I did cry at this, as much as most people do, but I did cry at the end, and yeah. It's another emotional rollercoaster book, but I feel like if you're a mother yourself, just be a bit careful with this book because it is quite, you know how, if you've ever read Colin Hoover, you know what I mean, but like Colin Hoover just has a way with words, and I'm not a mother, but this kind of got to me because I've got a niece and nephew, and yeah, just be careful if you are a mother, but it's a fantastic read. I now know why it's so viral on TikTok. Like, this went viral when it first came out, and I picked it up when it came into my Waterstones when I saw it, and I didn't read it because I was like, everyone says it's an emotional roller coaster. I've not read it yet, and I recently read it, and wow, phenomenal. Coho just has a way with words. I don't know how she does it. She just has this way, and oh, it's phenomenal. The last book that I read was Exodus by Katie Stewart. This is the second one in a series. The first one is Flock, and then the third one is The Finish Line. This book, I can't say much because obviously it's the second one in a series, but this book, my heart still, I still get choked up now about this book. Like, my heart just got ripped out when I read this. Like, every time I see TikToks about it, I just instantly start crying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm tearing up now. This book. So they go in the Cece in the first book moves to this small town, meets these two boys, gets along. She works for her father, and they're part of the Ravenhood. Can't really say much more because it will ruin the book. But yeah, just need to read them. Be ready for emotional roller coaster. However, the emotional roller coaster is ready. This was actually only supposed to be a duology. It was only supposed to be these two books. But the way they left this final book, you kind of needed the third one for everything to make sense. And the third one isn't my, like, to be honest, it is probably my favourite one because everything kind of works out. And kind of all of the pieces kind of like come together, and it like finishes off so perfectly. But the fact, right, I'm gonna put a timer in here, so if you've not read it from this point onwards, skip to the point that's on the screen, because there is going to be spoilers for this book, because I need to just say this to the people that have read this book. Okay, I'll put a timer up. I'll put the time where I finish. Right, does anyone else feel like does anyone else feel like Dom shouldn't, like, what happened to Dom should not have happened? Like, Dom needed to be in that final book. I'm sorry, like, we love our rainy days. No, like, it happened, and I was like, no, it should have been Tobias. It should have been Tobias. Like, Tobias stole you from Cece. No, that's not happening. These two, like, I love them two together because it's like he's the pawn and like she is the queen. Like, she is their queen to all of them, and yes, but it should have always been Dom, always. And the fact at the end, it should have just been him, and it makes me so annoyed that happened, because he could have just waited 30 seconds. You know, like if you would have just waited like a couple of minutes and had a conversation, none of that would have happened, and he still would have been with us and it would have been fine. But no, he had to go and I threw my book across the room when it happened, and then I was bothered for like an hour and I didn't read. So yeah, that's my little spoiler rant over. We're finished, but yeah, just read this entire series and then you can come back to this video and watch that little spoiler section, because I need to have conversations with people. If you have listened to that spoiler and you want to talk to me about it, please do. My TikTok is here. Just DM me, because I need to have conversations about it, because yeah. Now we're on to the books that I'm reading one of them currently, but these are all the books I've not read yet. So let's get going. The first one is The Deal by L. Kennedy, which is the first one in the Off Campus series. I've technically already read this book, but it was such a long time ago and it was on Kindle and I cannot remember it. Like, I remember parts of it, but I can't really remember it. So I've ordered the second one. I've already ordered it and I got the wrong one because it didn't match, so I had to reorder it, which I'm really annoyed about. But anyway, yeah, The Deal. Amazing from what I remember. I'm going to reread it though when I get the second or third one. I'm going to collect like a good few of them over a time period and then just binge read them, which is my plan. But yeah, this is The Deal. Apparently this is the best one. And then we're going to the Blair U series, so I'm very excited. However, the Blair U series hasn't been published in the same size and it's going to really annoy me. But we move. Yeah. The next one is The Worst Best Man by Mia Souza. I'm very excited to read this. It sounds amazing. A wedding planner left at the altar. Apparently she does another one called The Wedding Crasher, which I really want, but that's currently on my list to get. I haven't got it yet. But yeah, it sounds amazing. I was very kindly gifted this and I cannot wait to get reading it. The next book is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. I was also very kindly gifted this book as well. This book is amazing. I know it's a very viral TikTok book and it sounds amazing. She has a chronic illness and she's a computer geek and she makes goals. She has a list of goals. Like, a girl who makes lists has my heart. I'm a lister. I don't know if anyone else is like that. I have a list. Everything has a list. Like my June reads of this year has a list on my phone. Like, I'm a list maker. If I don't have lists and to-do lists, I don't get things done in my life. It's just who I am. But yeah, she has a list of all the goals she wants to do to help her get a life, which I'm very excited about. So I'm very excited to read this. This just sounds amazing and I cannot wait. There's 3 of them in the trilogy and yeah, very excited. The next one is a Coho book. This is November 9. This has Tate and Miles in it. Did I buy it because it's got Tate and Miles in it for a single chapter? Yes, I did. Am I excited? Yes, I am. Apparently this is an amazing book. My friend said this is one of her favourite Coho books, so I'm expecting a lot. This is about Fallon, who meets Dan, who's an aspiring novelist, and her scheduled and the date of her scheduled cross-country move. Their untimely attraction links to them spending Falcon's last day in LA together, and her eventful life becomes a creative inspiration Ben has sorted out for his novel. I think this is the book. I don't know if it's this one or a different one, but there is a book where the boy reads all of her romance novels. So I think it's this one and I'm excited for if it is. This cover is amazing. I bought it when basically the UK version of this didn't have this nice cover and then they changed it. I bought it when they changed it from Waterstones. But yeah, this book, very excited. I'm expecting a lot though, and if it does not give, I'm gonna be disappointed and I'm gonna sue all you lot who have told me that it's supposed to give what it gives if it doesn't give. But I expect it does because I love all of Colin Hoover books. I don't think there is a single Colin Hoover book I haven't liked yet. However, I do need to reread it, End of Those, because I cannot remember reading it. I read it in 2 days and cannot remember it, so don't know what's going on there. The next book is Philip Starmer's Golden Boys. I was into it on holiday, but I've gone through my books and I was like, I would rather take these books than this one. I just wasn't feeling it for some reason. But this is a YA queer book and it is about 4 boys that are friends that go on their big adventure bonding. They're all 4 queer boys and I think they just finished. Yeah, this is the summer for the first time they'll get to follow their dreams but be doing it apart. It's time to discover who they are and who they want to be. Will there be a distance divide them or draw them closer together? I got this because I need to mix up my variety. I read so many adult books and I need to read some more YA books and queer books so I can recommend them to you guys. So yeah, this is one of them and I'm very, very excited. The next one, I've had this, I'm not joking, for a year. I have started it, haven't carried it on. Do not ask me why, because I love this first book. However, it took me so long to read the first book, but I'm very excited to read this. This is Ready Player 2 by Everest Klein. I'm excited to read it. I've heard mixed reviews and then I didn't read it. And it is smallish writing and it's a thick book. But I need to get reading this. I will read it at some point. The goal is to read this in September before I start uni, and then I can get it done, because I know it is such a good book and I love the film and I love the first book, but the film was so much different to the book, but like it normally is. But yeah, I've heard mixed things about this. I've heard people saying you shouldn't read this because the first one was so good that this one ruins it, and it just you know when you read reviews and it just puts you off. Please, if anyone's read this, make me read this book, because I've had this up for ages and I was kindly bought this and it wasn't cheap, and I really I feel so annoyed at myself for not reading it just yet, because I didn't buy it, somebody else did, and I need to get my acting gear and I need to read it. So please, if you've read it, motivate me to read it, because I really want to, but you know when you're like, oh, other people have said it's not a good book and I wrote so many books to read that I just want to read them books instead, and it's like at the bottom of my shelf as well, and just please can someone make me read this. The final book, which technically isn't, well, I don't know if it counts as a blue book or not, but it has blue on it, so I'm going to count it. So this is Kiss the Sky by Kristen Becky Riches. This is my current read, because my friend is literally almost finished the series and is mad at me for not catching up with her. However, she's reading on Kindle and I'm reading it like this, which is a lot more expensive, so she can't get annoyed at me. But anyway, this is the first one in the Calloway Sister series, but the fourth one in the Addicted / Calloway Sister series, because there's the Addicted series and Calloway Sister series, but you kind of have to read them in a certain order that the author says, because otherwise the series doesn't make sense, apparently. So that's what I'm doing. And this is Kiss the Sky. This is about Rose and Connor, which Rose is part of it kind of is in, this book starts after the first 3 in the Addicted series, so I can't really spoil much because there is spoilers in this book. That's why you have to read them in a certain order, otherwise you would spoil the Addicted series. But yeah, Rose is very, very smart, so is Connor. They're both really, really smart, and currently from the Addicted series they've been dating about a year and it's all about them. They're all separate, like Rose is the virgin, Lily is the sex addict, Daisy's the daredevil kind of sitch. So there's books about all of the sisters, and this is their Rose and Connor's first book, and I'm very excited to read it. My friend says it starts off slow and gets a lot better. Currently I'm quite enjoying it. I don't like some of the people in this, but I'm currently really enjoying it. I can't wait to get reading it. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I'm going to be sitting and reading this all tomorrow, so I'm very, very excited. The plan is to try and read this as quickly as I can, because I have books I'm going to be taking on holiday and they're already in the van ready to go. So the plan is to finish this on Monday night, so I don't have to take another book with me, because otherwise I'll have about 12 books with me, which is too much, but hey ho. But yeah, that's the last book out of my blue collection. Yes, I have a lot of blue books. I would highly recommend all of the books I showed you at the beginning, which I've already read, because they were phenomenal. I think most books I read though are phenomenal, because I only read books that BOOKTOK have recommended, which probably isn't a good thing, but I'm like, if I don't know if I'm going to like it, I will get it out from the library and I won't have it in physical form. If I know I'm going to love it, or I've read it and I love it, then I will buy it in physical form. That's the usual thing I do. Or if there's a free Prime on Kindle, I will do it that way if I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. That's usually what I do, which is pretty smart in my brain, because if I don't enjoy it, why would I buy it? I'll then have to sell it, you know. But yeah, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below any of these books if you recommend, if I haven't read yet, what your thoughts are on these books, please do. Or if you don't want to tell me because you got some spoilers. If I've read them, please give me spoilers and chat to me about it. If I have not, please do not spoil them. Please do comment, like, add me on Instagram, not Instagram. Please do follow me on TikTok and come chat. I do post there regularly. I post about twice a day on there, sometimes once. Depends on how much content I've got pre-created. But yeah, please do follow me on there, and I hope you do this video. Please subscribe down below because we're so close to 5k. Like I said at the beginning, fingers crossed we hit it soon. And yeah, these are all my blue books, and I hope that you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys next time in my next video.